A user was recently banned from Notion, and after posting it on Reddit, the post went absolutely viral and people are now hating on Notion. Let's have a look at this Reddit post. Look at this, 2,100 upvotes within 24 hours of this being posted. This is the most I've ever seen in this subreddit. Throughout this video, I'll be addressing this person by the name of Sasha as according to his Reddit username. So it's written here, Notion will ban your account for no reason and keep your data, which sounds extremely clickbaity and honestly, it worked. And then he goes on to say, I urge everyone to stop using Notion. I spent entire days creating a database, and just as I was rolling it out to guests, I got banned for no apparent reason. With no explanation, no recourse, and they won't give me back my own data. This is pure evil. I warn you, stop using Notion. Okay, so I don't blame all these 2,100 people because people have a life to live, unlike someone here. They would usually just read the post briefly and assume the worst immediately. Understandably so. In fact, even though I'm an absolute Notion lover, after reading through it, I was also a little scared, and I could only imagine how other Notion users would feel about this. So I decided to do a little investigation about this, and here's what I found. Spoiler, it's also why I ended up downvoting this. Because of this post, a lot of people are now considering to stop using Notion completely, which is a shame because they did not do their own research before deciding. If you look at the screenshot here, first off, it's extremely weird that they did not clarify what did they do to warrant this potential violation. But anyway, you'll see that Sasha did ask Notion on what term he violated, and Notion responded that he violated the content and use policy, which looks something like this. I'm not a lawyer, so I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure he did violate this specific clause here, which is the illegal activities. So up until this point, I've been dragging the video out to increase my watch time, and now you probably want to find me and beat me up. So before you do that, let me show you what Sasha actually did. So thanks to Watered Down Phoenix, he compiled all of Sasha's comments and then summarized them for us. So Sasha created a business where he is the middleman between people who wants to buy and sell their own airline miles or points. This is something that violates most, if not all, of the airline's terms and conditions, but to be fair, it isn't technically illegal. The main thing that is illegal is probably this part. Since airline miles can't be transferred between accounts, naturally people would have to give out their account information, maybe name or phone number, or maybe something even more personal. So because of that, Sasha might have been mishandling PII in violation of EU and US. PII just means personal identifiable information, so it's like full name, phone number, social security number, things like that. I always love giving people the benefit of the doubt. So initially, I thought Sasha didn't know that buying or selling airline miles is a violation to the airline's terms and conditions. But you can see that Sasha did DM Phoenix and say that, yeah, my action were against TOS, so what? Still, it is only based on Phoenix's comments and we have no way to actually check their DMs. Well, after further investigation, we can see that clearly Sasha knows that buying or selling miles is not illegal, it's just against TNCs of airline. Hence, I decided to downvote this post because clearly Sasha was extremely aware of his violation, but yet he complains when he gets caught. So I think this ban was justified. Even if it wasn't technically an illegal activity, I don't think Notion want to be known as a software that allows such grey area type of activity. But after I did my little investigation, there are some pretty unsettling things that I learned about Notion. If you go back to the content and use policy, this specific clause right here feels like a breach of privacy for Notion users. Graphic and harmful content that is graphically violent, obscene, sexually explicit, promoting self-harm, terrorist activity, misinformation, or posing a threat to the public is not allowed. And this is the scary part. This restriction applies to both private and public content. We can all agree on the public content part. Of course, sharing all these things is not usually allowed, but the scary part is specifically on this private part right here. Does this mean that Notion is constantly spying on our data all the time? So a few people have also voiced the same concerns, and it's specifically on the sexually explicit and misinformation part. Because does that mean that if you were to be using Notion to journal your day-to-day life and maybe you got lucky that day and you write it in Notion, that would technically mean that you are violating their policy, right? And at the same time, misinformation is also extremely vague. So that is also a little confusing. But I have seen that the reason why companies make all these terms and conditions as vaguely as possible is because it gives them maximum protection, which is understandable in a business perspective. Because if you make it extremely specific, then people are going to find loopholes around it. Just like this guy right here. And based on Sasha's comment, the data was private and only shared to the guests invited by email. So the page is technically private as well. And the scary part is he spent few days creating this page here. So it's quite surprising that Notion managed to track this page down extremely fast. Does that mean it's true that Notion is actually spying on us all the time? I personally don't think so, because based on this post right here, a lot of people have actually voiced that they have some questionable content inside of their Notion. Like, I've seen people using their journal entries to write some things that definitely is a violation of the policy, or they are writing a script for a video that has adult humor as well. So if they haven't been banned until now, I doubt they will ever get banned in the future as well. And another reason why I think Notion isn't scanning our stuff all the time is because there is this support access toggle right under your settings page, which grants Notion the temporary access to your account, which means that if it is turned off, it should not be allowed to see your private information. But of course, I'm sure they could get access if they really want to, but I believe it's just too much of a risk for Notion to do that. So if, let's say, Notion isn't actually scanning our stuff all the time, how did such as illegal activity get caught and banned even though it's been a few days and it's a private page as well? This is my assumption on what actually happened. While he was running this business, inviting his customers as guests, there was maybe a transaction between two customers that didn't go well. Maybe one person gave the money and he didn't receive the airline mile. Then the unhappy person contacted Sasha to resolve this issue, but unfortunately they didn't manage to reach a satisfying outcome, and with all of his rage he reported this illegal business directly to Notion. Also, after thinking for a while, I realized that actually this is quite common among all of these softwares. Like Google Drive, for example, they also scan our stuff all the time. If you were to upload some illegal media like pirated movies, Google would ban you for that. So it clearly shows that your files and folders are also being scanned by Google all the time. And if you didn't know that, well, I'm sorry you have to learn it this way, but it's true. So I personally think that this ban is justified, considering he was doing something that is kind of illegal. Regardless, I just felt the need to make this video because there is so many people that got misinformed based on this single post. So hopefully this video can spread a little bit of awareness and help you ease your worries a little bit regarding Notion. And if your company wants to save hours by cutting scattered tools and endless information searching with Notion, book your free business audit with the link in the description below.